Jake and I met in Fort Lauderdale, Florida during our senior year. It was spring break, and it was actually my first spring break, his fourth spring break.
And I had gone down there with about 50 people of my friends from various schools, and some of our friends had met up with her and her friends the night before, and I came out with them later.
But we met in a bar called Slappy Joe's, and when we walked in, my friends, I had 3 friends of mine, Natalie, Amelia, and Michelle. We all walked into the bar, and I saw Jake across at the bar, and I told all my friends, I said, "No one take him from me. That is my guy."
So she had seen me first and actually had approached me, but we hung out for the better part of the week.
And we hung out a couple nights in a row, but we just exchanged phone numbers. We continued to keep in touch. He came down to Salisbury, where I was going to college.
And when we got back to school, you know, we kind of kept in touch, but she was being down here in Maryland was kind of far from New York. It was about 8.5 hours.
Kind of sad. The end of that summer, he had to go away to graduate school, and I had to finish up one more extra semester at Salisbury, so we kind of went our separate ways. And then a year later, he moved from graduate school down to North Carolina, and we were on the computer one day talking on the Instant Messenger, and
we just kind of started talking back and forth again.
I realized he was only 4 hours away in Raleigh, North Carolina, so I went down there and decided to go visit him, and ever since then we've been dating, and the rest is history.
And at that point, you know, she frequently went down to South Carolina, to Myrtle Beach area, where her relatives were. Her aunt and uncle lived down there, and so does her grandfather. And I had just kind of mentioned it jokingly, that she should come down and visit me the next time she went down there, because Raleigh's about maybe half an hour away from 95. She goes right past there. So she actually responded back, and she was like, "Well, how about this week? You know, I'm going down there." And so 5 days later, she drove in to Raleigh, and we actually went. That was our first date was that weekend she came down. We went to
Applebee's. Jake took me to Applebee's to dinner.
And it was kind of an interesting weekend. The whole time that she was there, she ended up getting sick. So I ended up having to take care of her the first night that she was there.
We just went on the first date to Applebee's. That's all.
But from that point on, we started traveling back and forth on weekends from Raleigh up to Maryland. And at that point, she actually tried out, and she had her first year with the Redskins cheerleading team. And then I was making the trip one way by myself every weekend. So we had to figure out a way around that. So that's when, at that point, I transferred with my current job up to Alexandria, Virginia, which is only maybe about 30 miles from here. So it was a little bit closer, and I had friends that lived in Alexandria, so I moved into a townhouse that they had a spare room in, and it made it a little bit easier. So when we had actually started solidifying plans of like what was going on, and you know, it made more sense and it was cheaper out in Maryland than Alexandria, I actually had been offered to come and stay in the spare bedroom down in her parents' basement, which anyone that knows Kristen's family, you know, thought that I must be a pretty good guy if Eddie was allowing a guy to move into the house. So we were with them for about a year until we bought our place here, and that's about it. I'd say a memorable moment would be the moment that she stepped out of her car when she first came back down to Raleigh. When I had first met her, her hair was less than shoulder length. And I had seen pictures of her since then with hair down past her shoulders and looked totally different. And the first time I had actually seen her was when she pulled in and got out of the car. And that was, at that point, I think I kind of knew where everything would eventually go. You know, that was just like everything clicked.
Jake and I don't feel like I have a most memorable moment with Jake, because everything with Jake is memorable. He is just a wonderful man, and everything to me is very special.
proposal. Wow, that was interesting. I had to prep myself for that. A lot of people, when I had first mentioned different ways about doing it, they're like, well, you got to think of some different ideas, somewhere you guys like to go, be alone. And I'm just like, that's not my thing. I mean, I used to be shy, but it's been a long time since I've turned over my new leaf here. I think that was part of my business training.
I was unaware of this. He actually planned it out with my director, Donald, and one of my friends, Laura, on the squad.
I would love to see someone attempt to top this one, because it was just too perfect. I had been informed earlier in the fall that she was going to be awarded the Rookie of the Year for the Redskins, her first year. So we had this big plan, and we had her friend's brother, come with a video camera. They knew it was going to happen. So I actually got the ring and everything while she was with me in the mall. I just kind of made an excuse to go out. But it was kind of the perfect situation too, because she had a bad day at work and she wasn't even planning on going. So of course at that point I was panicking, because I was like, you have to go. Not just because I was proposing, but because she was getting this award as well. And the plan was to go up there and address the team as a whole before actually doing it. I was going to make a speech and everything, and then he was going to give me the ring at that point. Well, he got a little too excited and jumped the gun, and as I walked up there, he met me with it in his hand, and a couple of the other girls saw it as he handed it to me, and so they got all anxious and stuff, and so I had to quiet them down before I actually did anything. But it was the entire team, so you're looking at directors and coaches, about 40 girls plus dates, so there was probably about 100 people there, and we were in the owner's box at FedEx Field. So after the video, she was the last award, they had given it to her, and she gave her speech, and then I started walking up towards her, and that's when I went through it and proposed. And
Sneaky Jake, he decided to, as soon as I was done receiving my award, Donald told me to say a speech, and my award was the last one of the night. And so I said, a speech? Why do I have to say a speech? No one else really said a speech. And he said, just say a speech, just say a speech. So I said a speech, and then up comes Jake, and he stood there, and everybody started screaming and yelling, and I'm kind of like, what's going on? But then I saw what happened. My director, Donald, passed Jake the ring, across from me, and I was like, oh no, what's going on here? And Jake, in front of all the girls, all their dates, he got down on his knee and he proposed to me, and I said yes.
All the girls went crazy. All the guys just gave me dirty looks. So it was definitely a memorable piece, to this whole puzzle.
I love everything about Jake. He is the most genuine man in the entire world. He will do anything for anyone. He mostly loves me for who I am, and that's what I love about him. Not only is he very, very attractive, but he is just a down-to-earth kind of guy. He will do anything for anyone, and he treats me so well. We have so much fun together. He makes me laugh. He supports me in anything I ever do throughout my life, and changes, and we work through everything together.
Well, basically anything that Kristen can do, she can take away just by smiling. She's just like her mom. She's a great teacher. Seeing her in her element, I've gone down to see her in the classroom, and how much she loves it and her dedication to it. It's unbelievable to actually see her, do what she loves, and she's got very strong convictions. If she wants to do something, she'll do it. The same thing with cheerleading. It was 400 girls coming out in DC, and it was no big deal to her. She's been dancing her whole life, and she's just great personality, and very easily liked by anyone, especially me. So.
Patience is a virtue, he tells me all the time. I don't have much patience. I have a lot of patience with children. I don't have a lot of patience with doing things. And Jake has definitely taught me how to be a little bit more patient, to just take things easy. Don't worry about the small stuff. I do. I worry about so much, and he doesn't. And that's one of the best qualities that he has. You know, he just lets things roll off his shoulders. Hey, whatever. And I don't. And I think it's a good thing. We're a perfect match. I think that it was destiny from meeting in Florida and then kind of meeting back up again. And, you know, he's just he really has taught me so much. I feel like I've grown so much in the past couple years that we've known each other.
Well, she's definitely taught me to look at the lighter side of things. I mean, I'm a pretty laid-back guy, but she can definitely, you know, laugh at a lot of different situations, you know, always look on the bright side of things and, you know, make a serious moment turn into something funny. So it definitely lowers my stress level. You know, I don't really have to worry about too much, you know, because I always know that she's behind me and, you know, we'll always come up with, you know, something that I can look at, a more positive, you know, view of things. So it's good. We're a good balance for each other. Chart House in Alexandria, that's kind of a special place around here for us. It's it's on the water, more of a fine dining type restaurant. We had gone there a few times when I lived in Alexandria.
It's right on the water. We both love the water. And when he actually moved up from North Carolina to Virginia, so we could be closer to each other, we went to the Chart House a lot. We went and walked on the right by the water all the time. And
it's kind of turned into like a special event place to go.
And he actually took me there once because when I got my teaching job, I was so excited, and he took me there, and it was a really awesome night.
Which actually was a couple weeks before I proposed, so that's when she thought it was actually happening. So I kind of threw a curveball there. But anything that comes up, you know, or even just a random weekend, you know, I'll surprise her and we'll go over there.
You know, we love to do those kind of things. We love to go to the movies. We love to eat ice cream and we love to go out to dinner. But the Chart House is definitely one of our favorite restaurants.
Probably out of everywhere that we've gone, that's probably our favorite. So there's just a lot to do there. Walk around Old Town Alexandria. It's a perfect setting. It's kind of like a small town atmosphere in the midst of a city. You know, so there's always people walking around, little shops. Everybody's real friendly, you know, and so it's just a good place to go out and hang around for a weekend.